In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how you can convert your Ram pickup truck to a center console. So we got a lot to get done, so let's jump straight into it. So just test fitting some stuff. We have a lot of information to cover on this. We got the center console in here. If you guys have been following along with the build on this truck, it originally did not have a center console, just carpet in the middle with the jump seat. So we took all that stuff out, and I've been acquiring the parts. So originally I had this. I'm going to show you guys exactly what we need and get straight into it. If you guys are familiar, I did purchase this from a salvage yard and they've been sending me bits and pieces. So just before I continue, I got to clean up this one piece. You guys can usually get this stuff from the salvage yards and stuff like that, but sometimes it can be a headache like it was for me. And I have to clean up disgusting parts from LKQ. So not happy, but it is what it is. Like, this is just absolutely filthy. I'm gonna wash it. You guys have seen me clean stuff up, so I'm gonna bust out the super clean, the degreaser, get this cleaned up so that we can get this thing all together. So just a little bit of TLC with a plastic brush or toothbrush and some of the super clean, and I'll show you guys what it looks like after I clean it. All right, so we've got our center console all cleaned up and ready to go. So let's go over the parts you need. I ended up taking everything out just so that we can get down to business here. You don't have to take the carpet out necessarily. I just had it out because I was doing welding on the brackets for the Hellcat seat conversion. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with what you probably already have. So whether you have the 8.4U connect, if you're interested in that, I have other videos on that. I'll link it up above. Or you just have the regular standard stereo, it's still gonna be the same process. So you're gonna have two screws up here. You remove those two. You might have a screw back here. Usually if you have the plug here, you'll have a screw inside there. And then this whole thing comes off with speed clips. So there's just a series of speed clips around the outside. Again, I'll link those videos for you guys, but you just yank this off and this comes off out of your way. Disconnect, the plugs on the back, of course. And then as far as the lower portion of this down here, this is gonna be on the very bottom next to your carpet. You can see here, it's just held on by a series of speed clips. So you just pop this guy off. And then after that, you're gonna see a series of screws holding this on. So you're gonna have 4 across top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the bottom, you're gonna have 2 more screws, 1 and 2. That holds this on. Then this becomes out of your way and you're gonna see pretty much what we got here. So as far as things you're gonna need to purchase, you're gonna need to purchase these 2 brackets, or if you take it from a salvage yard, make sure you get these. So there is 2 bolts that hold this on. I went ahead and just used my own bolts. So I got some 9/16 head bolts and nuts, and I just put it through because there is a large square opening in the back here, but I found that using those 2 bolts with 9/16 heads, both on the nut and on the bolt, it's on here solid. So I put those 2 on there. If you want to go ahead and do the factory hardware route, that's up to you guys. So you need this bracket. I'll link that part number down below, as well as this bracket. So there's the front center console bracket and the rear center console bracket. So if you guys have the center jump seat, you'll have the hardware because you're going to end up moving these 2 bolts. So one's going to go here and the other one's going to go here. And underneath here, there's going to be a piece of tape, and it's probably going to be color matched or body painted color. And you just remove that tape and then the hole is exposed down there for that, and that bracket fits in there. So those are the 2 main brackets that are going to hold this thing in place. And then over here you're going to need some hardware, pretty much just 10mm head bolts or whatever fastener head you want to use, but they are 6mm bolts on all 4 that hold this. So it's going to be metric M6 for those, and that's what's going to hold this whole thing in place. Now you're also going to need to change out the bezel that goes around your stereo. So again, don't be so concerned about what type of stereo you have, because you can transfer just this piece across. So if you find one on eBay or local classifieds, maybe it's missing the gear selector like this one is, or maybe it's missing the center piece, or maybe it's missing the switches. All this stuff you can transfer over, even this here, like this plug, if you wanted to have it or not, which in my case I'm not really too concerned about having the plug, so I'll probably put the one with the knockout here instead of the actual plug, because you need some other adapters to actually get this to work, which we can talk about later. So if you look on the back, you can swap over different things. So all these things have screws. Even down here, like if you find one that either doesn't have this or has more options or less options than yours, you can swap that over as well. Myself, preferably, I know this vehicle doesn't have front and rear parking sensors, so I'm probably just going to swap over my cleaner looking one. There's no sense in having switches that don't do anything, in my opinion. So the difference between the two, if you look here, this is the one that has the jump seat. So a bezel that doesn't have a center console is gonna be flat across the bottom. The one that does have the center console, you're gonna see this arch here, and it's gonna have this little pocket in it. So you need to get this one that has this arch with the pocket so that it can mate up to your center console. And that's gonna tie into this piece here, because as you can see, that is gonna fit in there and it's gonna butt right up against your dash bezel. Another kind of side note too, I don't need this necessarily because this is just a single cab, so I don't necessarily need to be pumping air to the back seats or anything like that. So I could probably remove this for now. I'm just gonna leave it in place. You will also need, and this is missing, this is part of my I guess complaint with the LKQ. I was supposed to get a complete center console. They sent it like you see here. It was missing the cup holder piece. I had to have a discussion with them. They sent me that, but it's missing all of my rubber mats that go in the bottom of it. Those are all missing, and they didn't send me the 2 plastic pieces on both sides, even though I paid top dollar for this thing and it showed up absolutely disgusting. But I'm at least happy that it cleaned up. You're also going to notice your connection here, so you're going to see your USB as well as this connector here that goes through, and that stuff will connect up as well. So depending on your situation, this is the 2 connectors. You'll notice that this is pretty long because on the jump seat it connects towards the back, whereas on the center console it actually connects way up at the front. So that's why there's this extra length on it. When I purchased this harness, it was actually bundled way up over here, and then for my purposes I had to extend it back again, and now it's going to go back to the front. So either way, they give you enough length to make that happen. So let's go ahead, throw in our center console. I'll show you guys that. We'll put in our 4 M6 bolts, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so as you start to get the center console in here, you're gonna notice these pegs, they line up with the dash right here. So you're gonna put it around the bracket at the front, and you're gonna slide it forward until those pegs on both sides go in. We'll slide it all the way forward until it butts up, and then we can reinstall our 2 screws. So you can use the hardware that we removed. So the 2 that we removed from here for our original assembly with the slide out tray, we can transfer those screws over to here on both sides. You're also going to notice this little notch here. This is for the cable to come out that plugs into here as well. Also, the 2 screws that you removed from this location as well, we can reinstall them here since this goes into the steel bracket of the frame, so that way we don't have any rattling. So we'll reinstall this here, and you can see here our 2 screws on each side. Those are installed, and we can move on. So the 2 13mm head bolts that you removed that were holding your jump seat in, those can be used to hold on this rear bracket, and you can reuse this hardware. Also, just side note, if you're wondering why this front bracket is black, they come from the factory just bare metal like that, and even though it was brand new, it showed up pretty rusty looking. So I just went ahead and spray painted it black. All right, so we got our 6mm hardware 10mm head bolts on both sides, so it's the same on both sides, and this is where that trim piece, like I was mentioning, that I am missing goes, but I will link those down below with the part number for you guys. So she's in here officially solid, so this thing is solidly mounted to the vehicle. Now we can go ahead and we can put in our bezel and then drop in our cup holder assembly. Just want to mention, you don't have to take out your head unit to do this. I just happen to have it out. All right, so we can go ahead and connect our connector down here. So this one plugs into here. And then our USB one, this one has a little clip, but on the unit, the wonderful unit that LKQ sent me, the clip is broken off. So I'm just going to connect this USB cable here. I do want to point out that if you had a 4-door with the rear vents, you would want to make sure to slide this in to the vent that comes out of your dash. Since this is a 2-door, it doesn't have that, but yeah, you would want to slide that in and make sure this connection is on as well. Okay, so after transferring over whatever buttons and switches and everything that you need to on your new bezel can go in next. And also we can reuse 2 of the screws here for this. I mentioned this on a different video, but you don't want to mix up and try to just throw a random screw in here. These little inserts seem to be very picky on using the original screws. So if you don't, you may end up stripping these, or even worse, turning it inside the plastic. So like I said, this is one of those spots or places that you might want to consider using OEM hardware. If you don't have it, I would get it. Okay, so we're gonna take this and plug in all your connections on the back. I'm sure you guys can figure that part out if you took it apart. Once you got all your connections in place, we'll go ahead, you can put this in. If you're ready for final assembly, then you can simply push in, snap it in, and put your 2 screws in the top. Okay, after that, you're gonna see that we have our plug for our 12-volt outlet on the center console. So we'll plug that in, and then we'll snap this down in place. Okay, so I'm just gonna flip up the glove box lid, we'll plug this in, and then we'll go ahead and we'll snap this thing down. So you will have to have the dash bezel fully snapped in place for this to fit, because otherwise this will be back and then it'll be long here. So definitely want to make sure you have this fully assembled. You can see we have a bit of a gap here, but we can go ahead and pull this back as we install our 2 screws, kind of pull everything together so that you don't have as much of a gap there on your trim. All right, so here's what everything looks like together, you guys. If you guys have been following this channel and you guys saw the interior of this previously, this is just crazy, the transformation that this thing has undergone. So really happy how now the leather stitched dash with the white stitching matches our seats. We got leather with white stitching. As for the Hellcat seats, I'll talk about that in just a second. I got them to work, and I'll talk about how you can see that if you guys are interested in doing something like that. But here's the console, it's all in. I just need to get those 2 panels that I mentioned and the trays that are missing, but I'm sure you guys can handle that stuff. But I will put all the part stuff down in the description below. Also back here, the tray does fit. So if you have a single cab and you're wondering, the tray still fits back in there. I put that back in as well. And very, very nice how the interior is coming out. Only other thing is obviously a steering wheel. It's still got this foam steering wheel, so I will be either getting a custom steering wheel or at least putting in the leather steering wheel from the higher end models. But that's that. And then also we're going to be converting our doors to full power, get rid of the crank windows here pretty soon. So very happy with how it's coming out. If you guys are curious how to remove the jump seat and the seats, I'm sure you guys can figure that out, but if you want to see a video on that, I'll link it above. It's part of our dash replacement video, so I have that stuff documented for you guys there. If you guys are interested in cluster upgrade, 8.4 Uconnect swap, dash swap, all that stuff, we've got it all on this channel, so definitely stick around and check out the other videos. So I'll link all the parts down below for you guys. If you guys are curious on how to make the brackets for any Charger Challenger seat, so I've got the Hellcat seats in here. You guys are gonna have to become a paid member of the channel. So it costs as little as $5 a month. If you guys wanna do that, I'm sure if you guys are purchasing these seats, you guys can handle an extra $5 a month. This is how I make a living right now. So by becoming a member, you guys are helping the creation of content on this channel, and so that we can keep moving forward and keep doing videos like this. So full tutorial is on the paid member section, and you guys can learn how to do that. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.